Hello everyone, my name is Sugandhapur and today I am here to give you an overview and introduction about SAP Enterprise Portal. So first let's understand what exactly is SAP Enterprise Portal. So SAP Enterprise Portal is a product offering from SAP which gives you a platform to configure SAP and non-SAP applications at a single place. Okay, so consider it like a big shopping mall. So in a big shopping mall you have various different kinds of shops, be it a garment shop, be it a footwear shop, you have different kinds of restaurants, then you have multiplexes. So in a similar fashion, SAP Enterprise Portal is a big platform where you can configure different kinds of applications, be it SAP Fiori application, be it a SAP UI5 application, be it a ABAP application, be it any URL you want to configure. So these various things you can configure in the single platform which is known as SAP Enterprise Portal. Now, in order to understand about the SAP Enterprise Portal Administration, you should know that this administration requires the access to the roles in the portal. So there are various roles in the SAP Enterprise Portal, but the most important ones to perform the SAP EP administration are content administrator role, system administrator role, user administrator role and Netweaver administrator role. Now let's understand each role one by one. So firstly, content administrator role. So content administrator role is assigned to the user who wants to configure the various portal contents on the SAP Enterprise Portal. So for example, I am the portal administrator and I have been assigned the content administrator role. So once I log into the portal and I go to my content administrator role, I will get an option to create the various portal contents. So in order to create a portal content, I will give you an example. So suppose there is an application which is hosted on a different server and you want to configure that application and you want to access that application on the SAP Enterprise Portal. So to do so, you need to create an iView. So iView is a building block of the portal content. So you know what an atom is. So atom is the tiniest particle of a matter. In a similar fashion, iView is the tiniest building block of the portal content in a SAP Enterprise Portal. So iViews are of different categories. So if you want to configure an ABAP application, you need to create an ABAP iView, okay. And then if you want to configure a Fiori application, you need to create a Fiori iView. If you want to configure a URL, you need to configure a URL iView within the SAP Enterprise Portal. So now let's take an example of an ABAP application. So consider there is an ABAP application and you want to configure it on the SAP Enterprise Portal. So firstly, you need to create an ABAP iView, WebDynPro ABAP iView. Suppose it's a WebDynPro application, so you will create a WebDynPro ABAP iView. Within that iView, you will give the application name, you will give the application parameters, various other properties that you need to mention. Once that iView is created, now you need to create a page. So now this page will have the iView linked to it. Once the page is created, you need to create a work set. So now this work set will have the page linked to it and in turn the page is having the iView linked to it. So iView page will get linked to the work set. Now once the work set is created, you need to create a portal role and within this portal role you need to assign this work set. So the hierarchy goes like this. First, this is the iView, then page, then work set and then the role. So now this portal role, once this portal role is created and this portal role is having the application configured within the iView, you can assign this portal role to a particular user such that when the user who is having this portal role logs into the enterprise portal will be able to view and access the application. Now, it is not very mandatory to follow this hierarchy all the time. You can at times only create an iView, link it to the page, and then you can link it to the portal role. But it is recommended that you follow this hierarchy most of the times. But these are little advanced topics that I will be covering in the upcoming videos. So, apart from this portal content creation, you can do various other things in the content administrator. So, one of the thing is like theme designing. You can perform the theme designing. The theme designing is like the look and feel of the portal. You can govern the various themes which are pre-built themes. You can create your own theme. You can do various customizations of the themes by content administrator role. Now, let us talk about the next role, which is the user administrator role. Now, within the user administrator role, as the name suggests, it is about the administration of the users within the portal. So, let us take an example. So, if you want to suppose create 100 users within the portal, you need to have the access for the user administrator role. Once you have the access for it, you log into the portal, go to the user administrator role, and then you will get an option to create the users. So, now here you need to understand there is a concept of UME engine, so which is known as user management engine. So, now this UME engine is the engine which is powering the SAP Enterprise Portal. So, all the users which you create on the portal, SAP Enterprise Portal, those are creating within this UME engine. So, for example, if you are creating 100 users on the portals and those are the portal users, those users are indirectly stored in the UME engine of the enterprise portal. Now, it is not very mandatory to create the users within the UME engine only. There is also an option to create these users in the external repository. So, very good example of it is the LDAP. So, it is lightweight directory access protocol. So, you can have this repository as an external system wherein you can create all the users, the user credentials will be stored on that repository. So, now suppose there is an organization which has around 1000 users and those users are created in an external LDAP system. Now, the enterprise portal gives you an option to integrate this external LDAP repository within the enterprise portal. So, within the enterprise portal you can configure this external LDAP repository, and once you are going to this user administration role, you will get an option to select the source system from which you want to view the users. So, for example, if I am the portal administrator and I go to the user administrator role, I will get an option to select the source. So, for example, there is a user ABC and that user is created in the external LDAP repository and that LDAP. So, once I go to the user administrator role, I will select the source system as the LDAP system, and then if I search for the user ABC and I will get that user, and it will be mentioned that this user is present in the LDAP repository. Similarly, suppose there is an user XYZ and that user is part of the user management engine, that is the repository which is of enterprise portal itself. Then I need to select the source system as the UME, and then if I select the user XYZ, the portal will show me the user details of the XYZ. Now, within this user administrator role, you can assign different portal roles to the users. So, within the portal you go and you search for this user, suppose XYZ user, and for example, you have role A, B, C, and each role is having multiple different iViews linked to it. And now, if you search for for a particular user, for example X, and once you select that user X, be it from the LDAP repository, or it can be from the UME engine, whichever repository it is, the user you can define and you can assign actually the roles to that user. So, if you select a user X, the portal will user administrator role will give you an option to assign the portal role. So, if you select the user X and you have A, B, C, D roles, you can assign this A, B, C, D roles to that particular user X. So, now it is not always required to follow this process, you can do it either way around. You can select for a role in the user administrator. So, the way you are selecting the users, the similar way you can select the role. Now, if you select the role, now you know there is a role which you have already created in the content administrator, and the role name is A. You select the role A, and once you select the role A, the portal will give you an option to assign the user to this role. So, if you select the role A, you can assign the user X, Y, Z to that role A. So, both the way you can follow, either way the users will be having the role assigned to them. Now, there are certain advanced topics within this user administration. For example, there is a concept of groups, there is a concept of actions within this user administration, but I will cover those advanced topics in the upcoming videos. Now, let us talk about the third important administrator role, which is the system administration role. So, let us consider an example. Suppose there is a manufacturing company. So, in a manufacturing company, there are various systems. For example, there can be an HR system, there can be a finance system, there can be a CRM system. So, multiple systems, 5-10 systems can be there. And now, each system is having its own applications, and you want to configure that applications on the SAP Enterprise Portal. Now, how will you do it? You need to create a system connection of each system in the SAP Enterprise Portal. For example, there is a SAP HR system. So, you need to create a system connection of the SAP HR system on the SAP Enterprise Portal. There is a SAP CRM system. You want to host the applications from the SAP CRM system to the Enterprise Portal, onto the Enterprise Portal. You need to create a system connection of that SAP CRM system on the SAP Enterprise Portal. How will you do it? You will go to the system administration role. Within the system administration role, you will get an option to create a system connection. Now, let us take an example. If you are creating a system connection of SAP HR system, so you will create that system connection SAP _HR. You will give various properties of that HR system, like the server address, the port number, various other properties are there. And then once you create this, you need to give a system alias of this system connection. So, system alias is nothing but it is a name by which you will be able to identify that system. Okay. So, for example, you are creating a SAP HR system, you will give a SAP _HR as a system alias. You can give any name, but I am giving you an example. SAP _HR is the system alias. Now, this system alias, where will you use it? So, suppose you are creating a content administration. Okay. Within the content administration, you are creating an application. So, this application is of the SAP HR. So, what you will do is you will first create an iView. So, within that iView, you will give the name of the SAP HR application, the application parameters, and then you need to give this SAP alias, system alias of that SAP HR system, by which the portal will be able to identify that this application belongs to SAP HR system. So, now once this iView is created, which is containing all the details about the application hosted on the SAP HR, and this iView will be then following the hierarchy of page, workset, role, and then you will assign this role to the user, portal user. Now, once this user having this role is logging into the portal, he or she will be able to access that application. So once the user is logging to the portal, he or she is clicking on that application. Now the application will establish a connection through that system connection with the SAP HR system, and it will load that application within the SAP Enterprise Portal. Now this is one part of it. There are various other things which you can perform in the system administration roles. You can track the activity reports, you can perform this LDAP integration which I told you in the user administration. So if you want to configure the external LDAP system within the SAP Enterprise Portal, you need to do it within the system administration role. So there is an option to configure the external LDAP within the SAP system administration role, and you can do it from there. Then there is also a concept of UWL administration, which is for the workflows integrations. So you can also perform that within the system administration role. So these are little bit advanced topics. I will cover them in the upcoming videos. So now let's talk about the next administrator role, and that is the Netweaver administrator role. So what exactly is Netweaver administrator role? This role allows you to troubleshoot and govern the various the errors which a user is facing in the portal. So this is one part of it. So suppose a user is logging into the portal, he or she is trying to access an application, and that application is throwing a 500 internal error, 400 error, the user is getting a blank page. So multiple things are there. So now if you want to troubleshoot why this error is coming to the user, you need to have access to the Netweaver administrator role. So once you have this access, you will go to this Netweaver administrator. There you will get an option for logs and traces. Within the logs and traces, you know the user ID, and if you also know the date and the time this error is coming, you can search for it. Within that logs and traces, you will enter the logs, the user detail there, the date and time, and then you will get the different kinds of logs which are recorded by the Enterprise Portal. These logs are very helpful, and you can go through each log. The logs will be according to the time, when the user is logging, what each steps are being followed. Everything will be showed in these logs, and by following these logs you can actually identify the root cause behind that error. So now there are different kinds of logs in it. It can be security logs, authentication logs, default traces, SAP logs. So there are bunch of logs are there, and multiple traces are there. So it's a huge platform which will allow you to troubleshoot the issues being faced by the users. Now apart from this, this Netweaver administrator is also used for other things. Suppose if you want to configure an SSO, single sign-on connection, between the SAP Enterprise Portal and any other external or an SAP system, you need to do it from the Netweaver administrator. So what is SSO? SSO is just like if you logging into the portal with your user credentials, then you can access all the applications which are linked and configured on the portal without having to log in another time. So you are logging only once into the Enterprise Portal, and then you are able to access each application, and the application will not ask you to log in again. So log in once and access everything within the portal accordingly. So this thing can be done through Netweaver administrator. This is a bit advanced topic, and I will cover this in the upcoming videos. So now there are various other things which you can do from the Netweaver administrator role. That is like the monitoring the portal health, like the overall memory utilization of the SAP Enterprise Portal, how many users are particularly logged into the portal at a particular point of time, and the various the statistics of these memory consumption. The portal can throw you an alert if a particular memory is being utilized at a very high rate. So you can then monitor and then streamline the memory consumption of the SAP Enterprise Portal. So these are the various details which a Netweaver administrator role gives you to troubleshoot and maintain the SAP Enterprise Portal. So I hope I was able to give you an overview and the understanding about the various features and the functionality of SAP Enterprise Portal. And if you enjoyed the video, please do like the video. I will be coming up with more such videos on the topics of the technology, and I will be covering more such topics in detail for you. So thank you so much for your time and attention.